Welcome to my final loss. Season 2 episode review video. As in this video, it will contain both part 1 and part 2 of Lost Season 2 finale. Before I get into that though, pretty important, if you're not caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching Lost, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you find that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And this is the 4th time that I've watched the show Lost. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, top 5 for sure. And I wanted to rewatch it and let things resonate a little bit because I've binged it the last couple times. I'm not the only one that's currently watching Lost though. Maybe you are too, but the legendary Crazy Coffee Man, who you see in various video comment sections for Dexter, Lucifer, and Breaking Bad, is actually watching Lost for the first time. So join us on the journey and let's discuss this awesome and amazing show. However, no spoilers past this episode because I don't know at the moment where the legendary Crazy Coffee Man is in terms of watching the show. So I'm sure he's ahead a little bit, but let's not spoil anything just in case we spoil something big. But with all that said, this will be Lost, Season 2, Episode 23, and Season 2, Episode 24. The title of these episodes is called Live Together, Die Alone, Part 1 and 2, and this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episodes. With the arrival of the sailboat during Libby and Ana Lucia's funeral, Jack, Sawyer, and Saeed then swim to the vessel with guns and discover a drunk Desmond inside the cabin. Desmond's back! Yay! That night on the beach, he reveals that he had attempted to sail towards Fiji, but although he followed a good compass bearing and was making good running for 2 weeks, he still found himself back on the island. He adds that we are stuck in a bloody snow globe. There's no outside world. There's no escape. Desmond finally asks Jack if they are still pushing it, to which Jack replies with a smile, yeah, we're still pushing it, the button, we're putting the numbers and then pushing execute. And then we go to a Desmond flashback. Desmond is released from a military prison and dishonorably discharged from the British Army's Royal Scots Regiment. His possessions are returned to him, including a copy of Charles Dickens' Our Mutual Friend and a photograph of him with a woman. He tells the guard that he is saving the book to be the last thing that he reads before he dies. Outside the prison, he is met by a sinister businessman in a limousine, Charles Whitmore, the father of Desmond's estranged girlfriend, Penelope, who goes by Penny. Whitmore reveals that he had intercepted all of Desmond's letters to Penny and that she was soon to be married to another man. He offers Desmond a large sum of money to stay away from her. No contact, no calls, no post. When Desmond asks why he would run away, Whitmore tells him that he will accept because he is a coward. Saeed recounts to Jack his suspicions about Michael and his plan for Walt's rescue. The arrival of Desmond's boat inspires him to ask Jack to use it for a secret flanking maneuver on the others' camp before Jack and the rescue mission arrive. There, Saeed would make up a fire and black smoke would arise so that this time they would know that we are coming. Locke's crisis of faith continues, and he tries to convince Mr. Echo to let the timer run down. John says that Echo doesn't want to be a slave, but the latter replies that he is a slave to nothing. Locke then says to not push the button, to which Echo replies, don't tell me what I can't do. So again, people are stealing Locke's catchphrase. Locke then tries to destroy the computer with the Jesus stick, but Echo stops him. They fight, and Echo locks John Locke out of the hatch, or the Swan Station. Jack, Kate, Michael, Sawyer, and Hurley prepare themselves for the rescue trek across the island. Kate argues that the others are not who they say they are. They are not hillbillies, but Michael replies that he knows what he saw, and then Sawyer says, enough jibber jabber, let's roll. Saeed goes to Desmond to ask for his boat as he wants to get to the other side of the island quickly. Desmond asks if Saeed is going to see the hostiles. Saeed doesn't know who he's talking about, and Desmond reflects that ignorance is bliss. And then Desmond gives the boat to Saeed, but he won't be the pilot for the sailboat. Then we go back to a Desmond flashback. Desmond arrives in the United States where a stranger buys him a coffee. He tells her that he needs money to obtain a boat to win back his honor in a race around the world sponsored by Charles Whitmore, and shows her the race pamphlet. He wants to beat him in his own race and then win back the love of Whitmore's daughter, Penny. Desmond adds that he still has no boat. Libby, which I don't remember this part at all, by the way, reveals that she has a boat that belonged to her husband, David, who wanted to sail to the Mediterranean. So I remember Desmond getting a boat from somebody, but I don't remember it being Libby at all. But, of course, Libby's husband wasn't able to, and he died in the previous month. Libby wants Desmond to have the boat. The boat was named after her, the Elizabeth. Desmond protests, but then she insists. He graciously accepts. He says he shall win the race for love. On their way across the jungle, Sawyer encounters a doll, but Kate prevents him from touching it, saying that he would be caught in a net. And then Sawyer talks about misunderstanding of Jack, saying that he and Kate got caught in a net when he thought that meant they had sex. Kate asks him since when he and Jack started talking about her. Suddenly, the party encounters a large bird, much like the one from Exodus Part 2 of last season. Michael tries to shoot it, but his gun has no ammo in it, and then Michael is shocked, and Jack says he forgot to load that one. And Michael, of course, is suspicious. Charlie discovers Locke weeping in the jungle and informs him of Desmond's return. Charlie adds that he pushed the button too many times, referring to the fact that Desmond is crazed. Saeed asks Jin, who refuses, saying he is not leaving Sun. Sun has other plans and tells Jin that they won't be apart because she is coming too. Saeed packs a gun and some ammo on a small boat. Saeed is surprised to see Sun accompanying Jin, but Sun says that he needs someone to translate and at least two people who know how to sail. And then at her tent, Claire is about to do the weekly injection to Aaron, but Desmond interrupts, saying that she is wasting her time. He says that he shot himself with that every 9 days for 3 years. Then they talk about Aaron's dad, who left Claire and the baby alone. We go back to the Desmond flashback. Desmond is preparing to run the steps of a sports stadium, a tour de state, where Jack, at that time a stranger, arrives to do the same. We've seen the parts of that already happen. And then Penny arrives unexpectedly. Penelope Penny, having tracked Desmond down, and confronts him. She asks him to sarcastically whether he has read the book Our Mutual Friend and why he does not write to her, but Desmond does not answer. She reveals that she hasn't yet set a date for her marriage. Desmond tells her he will be back in a year, but Penelope asks why not now. Penny then asks what he is running from, and Desmond says that he has to win the race sponsored by her father to regain his honor, which is what he is running to. Locke asks Desmond, what did one snowman say to the other snowman, referring to the question Desmond asked him when they first met. Desmond replies, smells like carrots. Locke tells Desmond about the revelations from the Pearl orientation video. What happens in the Swan is a test, a psychological experiment, and Desmond does not believe him, but Locke gives him the Pearl video. Desmond is curious, and together they decide not to push the button the next day. Then the group has made camp. Sawyer offers a Dharma Nutribar to Hurley, who refuses, stating that he is not hungry. Michael seems to be deeply troubled by what happened earlier with the gun. Jack sneaks up on him and asks him if he is all right. Jack then helps him get firewood. Michael thanks him for risking his life for his boy, and Jack replies, live together, die alone, man. Sun vomits from the morning sickness. Saeed, Jim, and Sun see the remnants of a giant statue on a shoreline, a four-toed foot. I don't know what is more disquieting, says Saeed, the fact that the rest of the statue is missing or that it has four toes. Locke and Desmond trick Echo into leaving the computer room by triggering a false blackout. The electrical buzzing is still strongly present in the Swan corridor. Desmond and Locke rush to the computer room and lock Echo out with a false lockdown. Back to the Desmond flashback. During the boat race around the world, Desmond is caught in a heavy storm. He goes into his cabin, puts his book in a plastic bag for protection, and takes it with him. He is knocked unconscious. He washes up on the shoreline, dazed, and sees a figure in a yellow hazmat suit. A man collects him from the beach and brings him inside the Swan station. This man asks Desmond if he is him. As a test, he asks Desmond the snowman joke, but Desmond does not understand. The man reveals himself to be Kurt Caldwell from Dexter New Blood. Of course, this character's name is Kelvin Inman, who was previously in a Saeed flashback episode. Desmond asks about his boat, but Kelvin says that no boat was was found. The beeping starts and Kelvin enters the numbers, and Desmond asks what that was for. Just saving the world, replies Inman. Then he enlists Desmond as the Swan station partner. After showing him the Swan orientation film, Desmond asks why they are missing parts in the video. Kelvin replies that his old partner Radinsky has edited the film. Kelvin adds that he is wearing that yellow suit so that he does not get infected. He then shows Desmond a vial of vaccine and an injector and instructs him to inject himself every 9 days because he was outside for a long time. Mr. Echo leaves and notices the quarantine sign on the hatch's door. He asks Charlie how they blew up the door. Echo then returns to the hatch with Charlie and dynamite. Charlie tries to convince Locke to open the door, but Desmond is sure that the blast doors will hold. Charlie tells Echo that maybe it's an old computer connected to nothing, but Echo takes off Charlie's belt and throws it in the air, where it is attached by the magnetic wall. Charlie tries to leave as Echo sets and lights the dynamite fuse. Charlie runs through the corridor as the dynamite explodes, sending a fireball through the corridors. Sawyer theorizes on who are the others, Dharma folks, aliens, as a group in walking alongside a small river. Kate spots two others stalking them on the other side, and they begin a short jungle skirmish where she actually shoots at them, and Jack does. Michael gets upset at this, whereupon Jack confronts him about his betrayal. Michael is forced to tell the truth, admitting that he had killed Ana Lucia, and Libby let the false Henry Gale go and led the rescue party based on instructions from the others so that he could free Walt. He says they gave him a list of names of people who he had to bring. Michael says he had to do this because it's my son. And Hurley, I'm surprised Hurley didn't kill Michael right there, but Hurley's such a good person. Wants to go back, but Jack then convinces the skeptical party to continue onward, revealing Saeed's plan. Jack says that the others will kill them all if they think the survivors don't trust Michael. As Saeed is praying that morning, Jin gets his attention. Saeed looks through the binoculars. He says the formation. He sees the formation of rocks that Michael was talking about, and that's what ends this the first part of Lost finale of season 2, part 1. Now we go to part 2, our flashback. Desmond still. After living with him for about 2 years, Desmond saw Kelvin trigger a fake lockdown many times, and one day Desmond did it himself under Kelvin's instructions. Kelvin then continued his project of painting the map seen by Locke with the deterrent. He revealed that his partner, Rosinsky, was the one who figured out how to trigger a fake lockdown by hotwiring the controls, and that he was also who had the idea of creating the map. Desmond was getting impatient with the fact that Rosinsky invented everything, yet he does not know what happened to him. Kelvin reveals that Rosinsky had killed himself with a shotgun while Kelvin was asleep, leaving a stain on the ceiling. Kelvin only had 108 minutes to bury him. Desmond then complains that he has not left the hatch since his arrival, but Kelvin reminds him of the quarantine and the hostels. Desmond has not been outside for 2 years, and if he can go out saying that he was in the army, but Kelvin once again reminds him that he was kicked out because he couldn't follow orders. Kelvin says he left his army because men followed his orders, but then he joined the Dharma Initiative. Kelvin adds that Desmond must follow his orders and stay inside to push the button. Sometime later, Desmond wakes up at the sound of the alarm. Only 45 seconds are left, and Kelvin is nowhere to be found. He enters the numbers and notices an open entrance to an underground level. He finds Kelvin drunk under that unknown floor access of the control room with a key just above a locked marked caution. System termination. Kelvin says that he couldn't do it. Desmond is intrigued by the key and the lock. Kelvin explains that this is the only other way out, as it is the fail-safe, and behind the wall lays a source of electromagnetism geologically unique. And he also claims that the incident had been a leak from this source, so now the charge builds up, and every time we push the button, it discharges before it gets too big. Desmond does not understand why a human himself has to push the button every 108 minutes. Kelvin then questions whether Desmond himself would have the courage to release all of the pressure using the failsafe, and using an analogy of blowing a dam. The blast door holds. Desmond wants to open the door to see if they are hurt, but Locke says it could be a trick. Desmond asks Locke why he wants to let the countdown go to 0. It is because he has to look down the barrel of a gun to find out who he really believes. Locke says he already has done that, and that he believed. He thought it would be his destiny to get into this place, and someone died because he was stupid enough to believe that I knew what I was talking about. Locke tells Desmond that on the night that Boone died for nothing, he was sitting up there all alone, yelling at the door when a light came on. He thought it was a sign, but it was just probably Desmond going to the bathroom. But it was Desmond experiencing his crisis and turning on the light to see another human being above at the hatch door. Locke now took this supposed omen to be yet another example to doubt his earlier faith, while Desmond realized that Locke had saved his life as Desmond was about to kill himself. Soon after, Sun, Jin, and Saeed arrive at the others' camp. When Saeed climbs up to the camp to investigate, he discovers that all the huts are abandoned. Saeed approaches the Dharma station at the camp and discovers that there is only a rock wall behind the door. The group soon after stumbles upon an enormous mound of tube containers, a capsule dump. Sawyer finds amongst the containers Locke's map to the Pearl Station. Jack sees Saeed's smoke signal unexpectedly far away. He confronts Michael, realizing that it was a double con, as the party hears whispers, and they are soon ambushed by the others, who use stun darts and capture the entire party. Desmond asks Locke about the Pearl. Locke tells Desmond all about it, the notebooks, the TVs, the tubes, but Desmond thinks Locke has got it backwards. It is not them who are being monitored, but the people at the Pearl Station. Desmond wants to see that Pearl video, but there is no way to see it at the Swan. Desmond asks Locke what else was down there, perhaps another computer. Locke says that there was a printer that printed out numbers, lots of numbers. Back to the Desmond flashback, Desmond notices that the hazmat suit has a large tear in it while Kelvin was preparing to go outside. Desmond realizes he has been deceived about the quarantine, a realization that was quickly confirmed after he followed Kelvin outside and saw him remove the suit. As he continues following Kelvin, eventually they arrive at a cove. There, Desmond sees his sailboat amongst completely repaired, at which point Kelvin announces he was aware of Desmond's presence as he was a spoke for 10 years. Desmond confronts Kelvin and becomes increasingly emotional, while Kelvin resentfully admits that he has been going outside to repair Desmond's boat to leave the island. Screw the button, man. Who knows if it's even real? believing he could have left the island long ago. Desmond becomes enraged and throws himself at Kelvin, accidentally smashing Kelvin's head against a rock and killing him. Rest in peace, Kurt Caldwell. After the shock subsides, Desmond quickly takes this failsafe key from Kelvin and sprints back to the hatch where the countdown has already reached 0. The hieroglyphics are locked in on the timer and system failure alarms are in effect. As Desmond struggles to remain calm enough to input the number sequence, the entire hatch visibly shudders while metallic objects begin flying towards the magnetic wall area. The shaking and alarms end as Desmond finally enters the full sequence, resetting the timer. Locke shows Desmond the log printout from the Pearl Station. Desmond discovers that the crash date of Oceanic Flight 815, September 22nd, is connected with the system failure entry in the log printout. That is the day he had accidentally killed Kelvin and did not enter the numbers in time, causing a system failure in the Swan. His conclusion is that this event is the cause of Flight 815's crash. I think I crashed your plane, Desmond tells Locke. The rescue party is brought by the others, including Alex, to appear the Palaferi. They are gagged and tied, but Kate mumbles to Tom that she knows his beard is fake. Mrs. Clue inadvertently reveals his name as Tom, and Tom reveals her name as B. The false Henry Gale arrives in the motorboat and directs operations, revealing his status as their leader. Henry looks at Michael and says, "Let's take care of business, shall we?" Charlie wakes up with ringing in his ears. He finds Echo unconscious. Locke and Desmond continue to argue whether to push the button or not. As the timer reaches close to 0, their conversation becomes heated, leading Locke to smash the computer just as the countdown runs toward 0. "You've killed us! You've killed us all," says Desmond. Locke replies, "No, I just saved us all." As the station is rocked by shaking and noise, Desmond opens the doors and finds the book he wanted to read before he died, Our Mutual Friend. Back to the Desmond flashback. Desmond sits and drinks alcohol with a gun at the table in the hatch, possibly considered suicide. When he opens his book, Our Mutual Friend, in preparation to read it, he discovers an envelope containing Penny's letter. The letter had been written before he entered prison. It had Penny explain that she has hidden the letter in the one place you would turn to in a moment of great desperation, which explains why she had asked about the book at their encounter at the stadium. The letter was a message of love and hope in the midst of despair, and ended with, "All we really need to survive is one person who truly loves us, and you have her. I will wait for you, always." And then Desmond mutters and shouts, "It's all gone!" The letter enrages him, and he begins to throw about the content, all the stuff in the hatch around. At that moment, he hears the sound of someone else screaming in despair and pounding on the wall. That person is John Locke, pounding on the hatch after Boone's fatal injury. Desmond looks up to the hatch entrance and turns the light onto the hatch window, which, of course, gets lots of attention, and calming Desmond from the thoughts of suicide, he smiles in happiness. The fail-safe key is hidden in the book. He quickly tells Locke about the banging on the hatch exterior, and that it was Locke that saved his life so that he could now save his. He is going to blow the dam. "I'll see you in another life, brother," Desmond's catchphrase. Meanwhile, the timer reaches 0 and flips to the hieroglyphic. I can't talk all of a sudden. Hieroglyphics. And as the system failure alarm progresses, metallic objects begin to fly across to the magnetic wall, or the magnet wall. Charlie revives Echo from the shock of the dynamite and tries to make his escape, while Echo rushes into the control room, where he is met by a despondent John Locke, acknowledging his mistake, stating simply, "I was wrong." Desmond turns the key while saying one last time, "I love you, Penny." He triggers the discharge, resulting in a flash of white and purple-violet glow. A groaning noise is heard. The flash is visible by everyone across the whole island, which is engulfed in bright white-violet glow lasting nearly a minute that covers the entire sky by a loud, low, droning sound, causing everyone to cover their ears. During the discharge, Bernard moves Claire and Aaron to safety by avoiding the quarantine hatch door that falls from the sky. After the discharge, the survivors are cleaning up the mess from the discharge when Charlie emerges from the jungle. Bernard asks him what happened and if he was okay, to which a partially deaf Charlie tells him that he is fine. At the dock, Henry Gale closes the deal with Michael. Henry is not happy with the arrangement, but they got more than they bargained for when Walt joins them. Since he lived up to his word, Michael is given a boat and Walt and instructed to escape the island by following a bearing of 325 degrees to find rescue. Michael wonders whether that is all. He asks Henry how he knows he won't tell anyone about the island, but Henry replies that whether or not he tells people won't matter. Once he has left the island, he won't be able to come back. Anyway, Henry believes that Michael won't tell anyone because if he does, people will find out what he did to get his son back. Michael is reassured that his friends will not be hurt as a deal's a deal. Finally, Michael asks Henry, "Who are you people?" And Henry replies, "We're the good guys, Michael." As Michael is reunited with his son on the boat, Henry adds, "Bon voyage, Michael." Michael leaves. Jack, Slayer, Kate, and Hurley stare as he leaves. That they all stare at him. The others also free Hurley, telling him that his mission is to tell the survivors never to come to this side of the island. The rest of the prisoners are coming home with the others. Hurley looks at Jack, who, with his eyes, tells him to go. As Michael leaves on a boat, he looks one last time at an angry and betrayed Jack. Walt also sees the bound and gagged kneeling prisoners with guns pointed at them. Kate and Jack look at each other, not knowing what is going to happen to them. The captives are hooded by the others and in preparation for transport. Charlie and Claire are near a fire. Claire asks him what happened out there. Charlie says that nothing happened, even though the sky turned purple and Charlie is hurt. Charlie and Claire reconcile, with Claire giving Charlie a small kiss. In Antarctica, two Portuguese-speaking men are playing chess when one notices a flashing red light on a computer and a message on the computer screen reading 741-8880 electromagnetic anomaly detective. "How long has it been doing that?" asks one of the men. The other quickly opens a locked book and an instruction manual. "That's it, isn't it? We've missed it again." One says wireless, the other says, "We didn't miss it. An alarm sounds. So it's not a false alarm this time?" the man asks, but the other one, agitated, replies, "Shut up and call." One of them urgently makes a phone call with a phone that is a one-way direct line to someone. The phone rings somewhere. It is night. The receiving phone is on a bedside table with a photo on it that looks like a picture of Desmond and Penny. A woman wakes up and answered, "Yes." The woman says, the man answers, "It's us. I think we found it." And the person that he's talking to is Penny. And that's what ends this episode and season 2 of Lost. A lot to unpack there. This was a very long video. I apologize for that. I'm going to give the episode a 9.4 out of 10. Desmond was just great. I know some people don't like, you either love or hate Desmond. He was pretty good in this episode. He's one of the better actors. I mean, there's a lot of great performances on Lost. This was an exceptional performance by Henry and Cusick. Desmond is the character of the episode. Locke is the secondary character. And I think Charlie is pretty good as well. So you've heard me ramble way, way longer than I wanted to. If you're a fan of Lost and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please consider Hulk smashing the like button. Share the video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this double finale episode of Lost Season 2. Remember, you'll be interacting with me and the legendary Crazy Coffee Man. No spoilers past this episode, please. Let me know your thoughts. What would you score the episode? Who would be your characters of the episode? Obviously Desmond, but who else? And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDevTV.